And a game that was a me type game for sure, or at least this year I figured out a game that's my type of game. Is I'm into Prince of Persia. At least what Ubisoft is currently doing with Prince of Persia.
David is
Because we
eating this
had
year.
Prince of Persia Lost Crown, which me and Mark have both brought up on the show. We both wrote credits on it. Good ass game. Getting more content this year. Definitely gonna play more of it. But a couple weeks ago, Ubisoft said that they were working on a new entry in the Prince of Persia franchise, which is a roguelike that is also being worked on by the Dead Cells people. And they literally just basically sunsetted all their DLC and everything for, or rather wrapped up all their stuff for Dead Cells proper. And now they're working on other projects. And one of them is the Rogue Prince of Persia, which I got a code to early access for the game, which literally just dropped, I think, like yesterday, day of recording.
Hey,
And I'm gonna mark a calendar for that one later. But I got my hands on it early. I have like maybe like 6 hours logged into the game so far, which is pretty decent for a roguelike type of game like this. But man, I'm enjoying my time with it. It is I'll open with comparing it to Lost Crown. The gameplay is a lot more quick and snappy, as it should be because it's a roguelike. And the gameplay is more based around swift combat and parkour maneuvering rather than intense combat and boss battles and like open world adventuring.
okay, so it's funny you say that because both of those both of those are different versions of Prince of Persia, because the one where we got with Sargon, that one felt kind of like of a mixed callback of modern Prince of Persia to like one of the first ones. And from what I'm seeing and what you're telling me, with like, hey, parkour movement is like bigger focus and quick snappy combat. Well, that's still a callback to like one of the earlier Prince of Persias, but still I would say like the handheld versions of Prince of Persia, where like, hey, combat's not super in depth, but it is still quick and snappy.
Yeah, speaking of like it being on handheld,
I'm watching the combat. The animations are so smooth.
Yeah,
the animations are so smooth.
It's like a perfect like PSP game.
Yeah, it's a really great
PSP
Switch game.
ROG Ally.
Really great for I've been playing it on my ROG Ally also since I am able to do that. It's great for like quick bite-sized sessions as in usual roguelike fashion, but like the combat in comparison to Lost Crown, there was like lows, highs, pop 'em up, aerials, juggles, all that type of stuff. It's more reduced to multiple weapons that you can grab throughout runs, where like you start out with twin daggers, or you can get like a singular sword, or you can get a big battle axe, and then there's like other weapons I haven't unlocked yet, and they all have like their own bread and butter 3-hit combo. They have a charge attack, and then you also don't have a block like in Lost Crown, which I'm still getting used to be honest. You don't have a block, but instead you have a dash, which if you dash towards an enemy, you'll vault over them. So you're basically like mixing them up by like 1, 2, 3, vault over them, hit them in the back, and then dash through them, or throw your secondary weapon, which can be like a bow and arrow, or like a what are those things called? I forgot what the word is, but it's like a throwable items and stuff like that. You can get those, and that mixes up the enemy as well. But those are more like you use those up as you're using them, and then you get more back by using your manual attacks and things like that as well. And then you have like a kick, which you can use to basically literally kick the shit out of your enemies and push them into walls, which stuns them, or you can kick them off of cliffs, and then enemies take fall damage. So if you don't feel like fighting them and they're near a cliffside, kick them off of it, and then you'll get the coins when they hit the ground. Or you can kick enemies
like
into
Evil West.
or you can kick enemies into other enemies, and that'll stun both of them, and then you can make them both open for attacking and things like that too. So the combat is very simple, good amount of depth to it, good amount of like mixing up, and then the main hook of the game is the parkour, like I mentioned before. But what's really cool is the game is a 2D side scroller, but as you're looking at the gameplay here, it integrates the walls in the background. So when you're playing, you press left trigger, and then the prince, he'll just run on the wall for like maybe like 2-3 seconds, and then you can chain that into different other moves. So he can like run on a wall, then the floor ends, but then there's like a pole he has to grab, so he'll run on the wall, jump off of it, grab on the pole, climb up the pole, then you can jump off, and then that'll reset the cooldown on the wall run, and you can chain that. and then he'll automatically run up walls. He has wall runs, wall jumps, like a whole bunch of maneuverability like that. And he's like super squirrely. Like that's like the best way to describe it. Yeah,
I'm not gonna lie. I thought the man was actually just swimming through the air.
No, he's just literally running on the wall, and he just.
I love when games use 2D games use like the background as an element.
2.5D. That's Z axis.
Yeah. I wish watching this gameplay. You know what game needs to do this? Mirror's Edge.
Oh,
bring that back just like
sick,
this,
dude.
That'd be sick. Like just make it
like
you can make it like a 2D side-scrolling like platformer with like these same elements. That would be sick. Yeah, that'd be really cool.
But and just like with Dead Cells, if you played that before, big emphasis on combat as you're going through the levels. There's no like time trial type of thing because like unlike Dead Cells, this game actually does have a ongoing story and narrative that's happening where basically the prince pissed off a whole bunch of like bandits and they basically just started fucking up his town and pillaging villages and stuff like that. And this happened 3 days ago. And he's in a time loop where every time he dies, he resets back to the day, like 2 or 3 days after he pissed off the Huns and stuff and all that shit started. So now he's like basically trying to stop that, but also like fix all these other intermittent issues that are happening in between other things too. As you're going through the areas, you'll like sometimes run into certain contextual moments where it's like you'll read something and then it'll be like, oh, there's like they're holding a hostage in this place and I have to like get to this area, and then it'll open like a mental map of like different things you got to keep track of, and then you can find other entrances to certain areas by just running through the map and stuff like that. So there's like an ongoing narrative that's really cool. Also, there's a medallion system, so as you're going through runs, you'll get in-game currency, which is like money that loses every time you finish a run. And then you'll also get medallions, which also like give you extra passives and boosts and stuff like that.
David,
yeah,
correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't also the Lost Crown do a medallion system? How is this one any different?
Yeah, so the medallion system in Lost Crown was kind of like the charms in Hollow Knight, where it's just you have certain amounts of like points where you can allocate those charms to yourself and give yourself passives throughout your whole game. But since this is a roguelike, you get those medallions per run, and then once you die, they basically go away. But you have 4 slots for your medallions, and you'll keep getting more as the game goes, so you have to pick and choose what you want. But each medallion sometimes has the ability to buff the slots that are next to the spot where you put it on yourself. So it'll be like you put it on the second slot, then it'll boost the second and the third slot next to it. And then if you put another medallion down, some of them have like up to level 3 stacking abilities. So it's like if this one's powered up or enhanced by like 2, you'll get a little bit of an extra boost than like the base stat of it. So it's kind of like a little bit of a strategic placement of what you're getting as you're going through runs. You can't move them around as you get them. So if you put something down on like the first rung, and then you get something else that powers up like 2 after that, then you got to just basically replace what you already had. So it's a little bit of some mental gymnastics that you got to keep in contact or keep track of while you're going through the runs too. But I like that. It keeps the gameplay fresh since you don't know what you're going to find or when you're going to find it. So that's also really cool. He's relatively weak. Like I'm also not at the point yet in the game where he has a lot of health and he has a lot of defense. So the movement is a really major thing.
The Prince has never. Well, in the history of Prince of Persia games that I've played, the Prince has never been a strong individual. He's always been the. Yeah, he's always been a DPS person. Squishy, moves quickly, has to get shit done. Yeah. I would say like a glass cannon cannot do extended fights for too long.
Yeah, definitely.
Did one of the Prince of Persia just fight a snake? You mean tell me that he's the glass cannon?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
He gets hit like 6 times. He's gone. Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty sure. I mean, better than me. I can't watch somebody snake and I'm dead.
ALANTE, you saw me get final flashed, and there went most of my health.
See, well, that's called a skill issue. That's different.
That's called a skill issue. Wow.
Coming from a man that doesn't play any Metroidvanias, I don't want to hear it.
But yeah, the game is good. The game is great. Would recommend checking it out if you like Dead Cells, if you like roguelikes, if you like 2D platformers. Honestly, like the movement is one of the main things that really has my attention and that retains me. Like there's certain puzzle rooms where it'll be like very few things to like grab onto or wall run to, and you have to like figure out the maneuverability of those rooms, and like you get really a lot of treasures if you get through those, and that's really cool. Once you get the mechanics down of like just the canceling and the refreshing of the wall run and like all the other mechanics, kind of like Celeste a little bit, like if how much can I do this thing before I gotta touch the ground before it resets, or what refreshes my actions and things like that. It's cool. Definitely gonna try to roll credits on this. It's a great game to just have just some hype ass music on in the background and just fucking do some runs, you know. So definitely would recommend. Definitely recommend checking it out. Ubisoft's doing some great stuff with Prince of Persia right now, so looking forward to seeing what comes out of this next. Hopefully the next one's 3D, but yeah, great game. Shout out to Ubisoft.
I would just love to see this big Mirror's Edge reinterpreted just like this. That'd be such a great comeback.
Yeah, that's a good idea, actually.
Actually, matter of fact, it was Princess Edge. I mean, Princess
Persia.
Princess Edge. No, Princess Edge. Perfect.
Episode title. There we go. Princess Edge.